Most family members would rather you come to them and ask them for help rather than you do something, that's going to get you in trouble. Because if you look at it, you are a burden on your family while you're in prison anyway, because you're still asking them to send you some money to do something for them. So they would rather help you out here in society, get yourself situated and adjusted. That way, they don't have to see you in prison.
Another thing that I've encountered, which is pretty normal, and I encounter this in the prison for when we talk about networking, which is that people feel uncomfortable putting a burden on their family to help them when they get out, which is totally normal. I mean, if you feel a strong sense of responsibility and conscientiousness for your life, then being unnecessarily dependent on others is going to lead you to, feel bad about that. And that's fine. That's normal. The thing that I want to stress to them is that they're not using their family in some sort of negative or immoral way. They're using them in the sense that they need a ride. They need to get them, help them get a job. They're staying at their house. That's true. That's obvious. But they're not using them in an immoral way, in the sense that that's not the only reason you are in a relationship with them. The fact that they are able to provide you with transportation and a place to stay is not the only reason that you're in relationship with them. It's just one of the things that they're willing to do to help you out because they love you and they care about you. Your relationship is built on more than just the things they're willing to provide for you. I think they don't make that clear distinction. They think, well, I'm just using my family. And yeah, but that's normal. That's what family want to do. Family and friends want to help you out. So it's a balance between having that strong urge of responsibility and being conscientious about how you're going to get out and live your life, balanced with, hey, they want to help you. You're in need. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. You're not using them in some negative way. This is just how family and friends function.
A lot of times, family and friends would rather you ask them for some help rather than to return to what you know. And it's about the mindset. Individuals that's coming out of prison, you're going to have to ask for help from somebody. So I guess, you have to lower your standards and get off the high horse and ask for some help. I'll never forget, when I was incarcerated, God rest my grandmother's soul. My grandma used to say to me, before she passed away a few years ago, is that you would never ask for help. She said, you were unlike your brothers. Your brothers always asking for something. And you always was that independent mindset. And she said, you should have asked. If you needed something, or if you were struggling, you didn't have to do what you do. You could have asked the family for help. So I believe, in this country, most family members would rather you come to them and ask them for help and they do what they can, rather than you to go down to a track, go and do something, that's going to get you in trouble. Because if you look at it, you are a burden on your family while you're in prison anyway, because you're still asking them to send you some money to do something for them. So they would rather help you out here in society, get yourself situated and adjusted. That way, they don't have to see you in prison and they're not having to help you inside. So, you look at it that way, it's the mindset. And the mindset should be, I want to do everything in my power to stay free. And that includes asking for help.
Yeah, that was something that I was surprised with Tifa, as a matter of fact, when I met Miss Urshabek years ago. And I think that was when I invited her to come into the Darrington Seminary, putting money on their books, the cost of phone calls, the cost of magazine subscriptions, the cost of, gas money, travel expenses to get to a unit, especially if you were on a unit that was hours and hours away. Maybe they had to stay the night in a hotel. all of those costs added up. They're very expensive. I never even thought of that. And I thought it was really important that she put that chart together and then show it to people in prison. Like, look, these are things that you may not be aware of, but this is what it's costing, the family already while you're incarcerated. Not to make people feel bad, but so that they will be more, aware of what their family is going through in their attempt to support and be there for them. Because there were so many times I've met people who were not grateful and who just kept asking for more and more from their families, because I don't think maybe they didn't care, right? But the charitable interpretation is that maybe they just didn't understand how hard it can be for somebody to support them while they're on the inside. So in keeping all of that in mind, one of the important things that they can do is determine some plan, some way that they can give back, show their appreciation, their gratitude to their family and friends. Obviously, the biggest way would be, to start providing financially for the family again and start taking on those roles and responsibilities. But in the beginning, it's minor, it's small things like contributing to the house, mowing the yard, doing small repairs, little things that will contribute to the household that maybe they haven't thought about. But all of those things are really appreciated, really valuable. Of course, that can also get you in trouble. And I think the celly analogy was really appropriate, because when you're in the cell with somebody, you have different cleaning habits, you have different expectations about noise. It is like living with somebody, like a spouse situation in a home. And so if you keep that mindset, like what kind of stuff, what kind of drama did you encounter? What kind of rules did you establish every time you got a new cellie? That's very similar to the way it's going to go in the household. Because look, if you put the dishes in the dishwasher the wrong way, then your wife or your girl or your mom or somebody, you're going to catch hell for that. So you want to contribute as much as you can, mowing the yard, doing whatever you can, but be clear about how they do things, just so you can prevent all this unnecessary drama. And so I think the analogy between the stuff you went through, with cellmates is very appropriate in this scenario.
I know I kind of got in trouble. So my brother used to live with my mother, and I was somebody, that coming from prison, I was kind of organized. I like to organize things. I like things to be clean in a certain way. And so I immediately began to cleaning up and straightening things up, to doing it a certain way. And, whereas, living with my mother, she wasn't upset. It was just like, my brother's upset, you can't just come in changing things, and I'm just like, you don't even live here no more. Your junk needs to be, you need to take your junk with you. And so we had a long argument, disagreement. And, of course, my mother, she didn't say nothing. This is my mama's house. I can leave this stuff here if I want to. Man, I'm living here now. You need to do something with this junk. Not going to be living here with this junk. So, it just speaks to, relationships and how, even family, you have disagreements. In some ways, I guess I was kind of just coming in, just throwing my little weight around, and instead of just asking, for being, patient with people's lives and what they had going on. And I think, you said it, it just speaks to, really communication too. Communication goes a long way when you're re-entering and going back to live, to be able to just ask questions and to be patient and not try to, make things your way.
Yeah. So communication is crucial in all of this. Communication before they even get out. So if you're, family or friends of somebody incarcerated, your communication with them, and then for the people incarcerated, their communication with others. And it's not always easy. You don't always want to bring up these topics because maybe they're sensitive or you feel a sense of guilt for needing that much help. But you have to have these lines of communication open, to find out just exactly what their expectations of you are, all right, going both ways. Does the family expect a certain curfew? Do they expect you to go to church? Right? One of the various family members who offered me a place to stay, they had different rules than others. You need to know all of those sorts of things. So the communication is what is key in all of this, and that communication needs to get started in advance. It might be uncomfortable. You don't want to start a fight in visitation, arguing about something like this. You got to think clearly about how best to approach the subject so you can start to get these things out of the way, now. So for those who are incarcerated and for those who are family and friends, how have you changed since this incarceration period that maybe is not clear to one another? And how can you begin to explain that, convey that, work these things out as best you can so that the transition will be smooth and less filled with unnecessary, arguments and drama. So I just encourage the people who are incarcerated and the family and friends who want to support them to try and think through as many of the details as possible, have reasonable explanations from both sides. So people are incarcerated, the people you're going to live with have lives, school, work, kids, things to do. And for the family and friends, the people coming out of prison are going to be clueless about a lot of things and be very needy in terms of transportation or money or food or clothing. Both sides need to recognize all of these various needs. So thanks for talking to me about these things, Tracy. I think you've got some, real life experience in a way that I no longer have. It's been a while since I've been out. So even though I deal with these things, talking to people still in prison or coming out of prison, you are experiencing a lot of these reentry issues firsthand. So I thank you for, just being on here and talking about them with me. So for those who are watching or listening, I hope you appreciated some of the content that we had. Please subscribe, click the notification, share this with people that you think will find it valuable, because that's what we're doing. We're just trying to help other people, family, friends, even those incarcerated, understand key important issues that have to do with reentry. So subscribe. You'll hear more about this in the future. Thanks again, Tracy, for taking the time out of your day to talk with me about these things.